Let's continue discussion about Spring Framework 6.2. And just when I thought Spring Framework 6.2 couldn't possibly introduce more power to your toolkit, let's dive into enhanced indexing support in SPL. If you've ever felt constrained by the limitations of property navigation or indexing in the Spring expression language, your frustrations are officially over. This update is here to unlock a whole new level of flexibility and precision in your expressions. Here's a big deal. Spell now includes first-class support for indexing into custom structures. That's right. Spring has introduced the index accessor and compilable index accessor (SPIs), along with a built-in reflective index accessor implementation. This means you can now easily define how your custom structures should handle indexing on your terms. It's not just about making Spell more capable, it's about making it work exactly the way you need it to. But that's not all. Spell now offers safe navigation support for indexing into arrays, collections, strings, maps, objects, and even your custom structures. Let's put it simple. If there is a way to navigate or index into data structure, Spell can handle it. No more null pointer exceptions when you least expect them. No more convoluted workarounds just to retrieve a value. Just clean, reliable, and safe indexing. Still not convinced? The documentation for Spell, property navigation and indexing has been fully revised. Yes, fully. We are taking step-by-step guidance, official documentation for indexing into strings and objects, and examples that show you exactly how to harness this new project. Spring Framework 6.2 isn't just giving you features, it's giving you the tools and knowledges to use them effectively. Here's an example. Let's say you're working with deeply nested structure. In the past, trying to retrieve a specific value from that structure in Spell might have felt like threading a needle in the dark. But now, with enhanced indexing and safe navigation, it's simple as writing the expression and letting Spring handle the rest. It's a whole new world of clarity and ease. But let me be clear, this isn't just a nice to have feature, it's game changer. It makes Spell more versatile, more robust, and more aligned with the demands of modern development. Whether you are working with complex data models, custom structures, or just need to ensure your expressions are rock solid, this update is for you. So here's the real question. Will you take the time to explore these enhancements, to dig into the revised documentation, experiment with custom index accessor implementations, and push the boundaries of what Spell can do? Or will you let these powerful tools gather dust, unused and unappreciated? The choice is yours, but one thing is certain: Spring Framework 6.2 isn't waiting for anyone. It's here, it's packed with potential, and it's ready to take your application to the next level. Are you? And now we step into the realm of testing redefined, with beans overriding in tests and the introduction of Test Bean, Mockito Bean, and Mockito Spy Bean. Let's face it, writing tests for a complex application has never been a walk in the park, but this new feature aims to make it significantly easier. For those who are new to these annotations, here's the bottom line. They allow you to override beans specifically for your test scenarios. That means you can seamlessly replace actual beans with mocks, spies, or even test-specific implementations without convoluted setup. And the best part, the reference documentation and dedicated blog post cover it all, step by step. This isn't just an update, it's an invitation to write cleaner, more maintainable tests. Now let's get into something the community has been asking for: AssertJA support for mock MVC. Yes, it's finally here. It's about to make your testing life so much better. Don't get me wrong, Hamcrest has served us well, but it's not for everyone. Static imports can make the API less discoverable, and writing custom assertions has been, let's say, challenging. But AssertJ, that's a whole different ballgame. If you ever used Spring Boot testing facilities with AssertJ, you already know how powerful it is. But now the framework itself is catching up. Spring Framework 6.2 introduces exhaustive AssertJ support for mock MVC, allowing you to test your web applications in a way that's both intuitive and flexible. The new MVC tester class takes center stage, with factory methods that make building an instance ready ridiculously straightforward. Assert.j supports extends into advanced features like JSON assertions. Think about what this means. No more fragile strings comparisons, no more writing clunky custom matches, just clear, declarative assertions that say exactly what you want your test to verify. But here's the real kicker. This isn't just about making testing easier, it's about making it better. Assert.j allows you to write tests that are more readable, more maintainable, and ultimately more reliable. With Spring Framework 6.2, your tests don't just verify functionality, they become a joy to write, and that's the kind of progress every developer deserves. So, what's your next move? Will you embrace TestBean, Mockitabean, and the elegance of Assert.j to simplify your testing suite? Or will you keep wrestling with outdated patterns and frameworks that make testing harder than it needs to be? The choice is yours. But remember, Spring Framework New isn't just about new features, it's about giving you the tools to create better applications, better tests, and better development experience. Are you ready to step up and make the most of it? Let's dive into some of most exciting updates in new Spring Framework. Features that bring unparalleled flexibility and precision to your development process. First up, dynamic properties in tests. Testing just got a whole lot more powerful. Now you can register dynamic properties directly within a test application context by contributing dynamic property register beans. Imagine having the ability to dynamically configure your test environment without external files or complex setup. It's simple, clean, and incredibly effective. This is kinda enhancements that makes you wonder, how did I ever live without it? Check out the documentation to see how to implement it. Next, let's talk about constructor data binding to lists, map, arrays. This is huge leap forward. Until now, constructor data binding was limited, while setter binding handled complex types like lists and maps. But with new version, constructor binding has been supercharged. You can now bind lists, map, and array arguments directly to your constructor parameter. It's not just an improvement, it's parity with setter binding. And the best part, constructor binding is inherently safer because it's only binding what explicitly declared in your constructor. No more worrying about unexpected values sneaking in. Moving on to data binding from headers, this is game changer for controller methods. Spring Framework now allows binding request headers values directly to model attribute controller method parameters. No more tedious manual extraction of headers. It's all backed right in. This opens the door to cleaner, more intuitive code when handling complex requests, whether you're processing custom headers or working with APIs that rely on them. This update simplifies your life in big way. And now something for the HTML over-the-write enthusiast: fragment rendering. Spring MVC and Webflux now support rendering multiple views in a single request or even streaming rendered views. If you're working with modern libraries like htmx.org or Turbo, this feature is tailor-made for you. Imagine being able to dynamically update parts of your page without a full reload. It's fast, efficient, and aligns perfectly with the growing demand for interactive, reactive web applications. Let's not forget content negotiation for exception handler methods. This is a feature that brings polish to error handling. Your exception handling methods can now automatically select the response content type based on what the client requested. For example, automated client can receive a JSON response, while browsers can display an HTML error page with custom messages. It's intuitive, flexible, and ensures your application communicates effectively with different clients. Next, let's talk URL parsing. Spring Framework has replaced its regular expression-based URL parsing with two new implementations. The default parser follows the strict RFC 3986 syntax, expecting URLs to be well formatted. But there's also a second option, the living URL standard. This parser provides lenient handling similar to how browsers handle URLs, making it ideal for scenarios where URL-provided URLs need to be processed. The flexibility here is incredible. You get strict validation when you need it and leniency when you don't. It's a thoughtful, practical addition. Then there is URL handler filter for trailing/matching. If you've been affected by the deprecation of the trailing/match option in PatchMat Configurer. This is your solution. The new filters, both servlet and reactive, gracefully handle URL transitions. They will remove the slash in the end of your URL. This makes the transition smoother for large applications and ensures backward compatibility. Finally, let's talk about user reflection hint registration for native apps. This is huge boost for developers working with native images. The new register reflection annotation allows you to easily register reflection hints for arbitrary data types. If you want to take it further, Reflective Scan lets you opt in to scanning for reflection hints on any class, not just Spring Beans. These enhancements drastically simplify the developer experience for native apps, letting you focus on building instead of battling with configuration. This new update isn't just about keeping up with modern development needs, it's about anticipating them and giving you the tools to meet them head-on. Whether you're working on tests, data binding, error handling, or native apps, this update is packed with features designed to make your job easier, your code cleaner, and your application better.